Well, CBS 8 was proud to support Honor Flight 2022. 85 veterans. Very emotional here. They completed a 3-day trip to Washington, D.C.
Our Jeff Zevely, along with photojournalist Scott Hall, were the only TV crew from San Diego to take the trip. Jeff is joining us live to recap a journey that was filled with patriotism and pride. Jeff, what an adventure.
Carlo and Heather, so memorable. On Friday morning, we got up at the crack of dawn. We went down to the San Diego International Airport before the sun rose, and at 5 a.m. we were loading onto a plane. We flew to Washington, D.C. We spent 3 days with these veterans on the buses, on the plane. We ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them. One veteran told me that when he was a kid, he had a job that paid him 35 cents a week. Just think about that, 35 cents in a week. So I let that sink in, and you start to realize the mentality they were dealing with to go from such humble beginnings to such incredible heroes. The Honor Flight is called a tour of honor because it's 3 days where the heroes come first.
Honor Flight! Honor Flight!
On the Honor Flight to the nation's capital just after takeoff.
Honor Flight!
You have lots of fans here.
Mail Call delivers nearly 5,000 letters of love.
Thank you for your time, bravery, and service.
101-year-old Army pilot Dudley Gladding was the oldest Honor Flight veteran.
I had 40 missions over the Philippines.
Dudley failed to mention the enemy shot him down on his 31st mission, but that's the humility of a hero.
I can't see that well. I got no trouble.
As 85 veterans dug into their mail. Want me to read one to you?
I would like to.
Okay. Andy Bowman never expected to be thanked by a stranger. You have given so much for this country. How's it feel to get that letter?
It feels good, and I won't be able to see what the monument says, but I can, vision what it says.
In Washington, Americans lined up to honor the greatest generation.
It means the world. It just brings back all those memories.
Pete Mayfield watched his Marines raise the victory flag at Iwo Jima.
Hallelujah.
Near the tomb of the unknown, fields filled with those who didn't make it home.
I look at those tombstones out there, and I think I'm just one of the lucky guys.
Roy Grigsby fought in Korea at a time when, back at home, they told him,
go to the back of the bus. You're supposed to go to the back. You cannot sit in the front. Go to the back.
These stories of sacrifice and valor came from veterans who made this trip for their comrades who couldn't.
I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of buddies. Well, I'm alive. That's the big thing.
100-year-old Pete Sanzo stormed the beaches of Normandy.
I was lucky to go and come back.
Frank Corona survived Korea, and like so many others, put himself in harm's way.
This note is about you.
Vietnam veteran Jack Gauthier is dying from cancer.
I'm so happy you.
But your gratitude makes him feel alive.
I love everybody.
These are the veterans.
And I'm going to stick around as long as I can.
Who fought for freedom.
I knew what I was fighting for.
This whole thing has been surreal.
It's great to be alive, to be a veteran.
I would not have missed it for the world.
I get emotional.
I think all of San Diego is waiting for you. Take a look.
Oh my goodness.
At a hero's homecoming,
I'm going to cry.
the men and women,
Hey, Scott.
once met by bullets. When you came home from war, what kind of reception did you receive?
I didn't get no reception, none at all. But it's all here. It's all here. America, about this country, and it's great to be part of our country. Oh, it's beautiful.
So, Heather and Carlo, I want to give you a little behind-the-scenes story from yesterday's Heroes Homecoming. We were on a chartered flight with American Airlines, and we landed an hour late. Well, Scott and I were up against a 5 o'clock deadline for our story. I had prepared to interview an Army Korean War veteran by the name of George, and we were all set to walk and go down that escalator together, but we got our signals crossed and George went through TSA without me. So I kind of panicked a little bit. I thought, that's okay. We're going to go put a microphone on Aneen. She was the only female on the honor flight. She was a Navy corpsman during the Korean War. Well, she got stuck on the plane with complications. So, you know, as a reporter, I'm starting to panic and I think I need to grab somebody. And from the plane, here comes Lou. His daughter is pushing him in a wheelchair. And I said, Lou, do you think you can do this? And I asked his daughter, can I walk with Lou? And he said, I think so. So I grabbed him up out of the wheelchair and with my arm, I held him up and he didn't know that was gonna happen. So as we approached the escalator, that's what I said, are you ready for this? So that was his genuine reaction. He wasn't expecting that. And when that hit him, Scott Hall said, you know, Scott Hall's been shooting video and been in news for 38 years. Scott said that was the most magical thing he's ever seen from behind his camera. So just a magical moment. And I think really that showed what honor flight is all about.
You know, Jeff, that moment really stuck out to me in listening to that story too. But the part that stuck out the most was that you asked him when he returned from the war, what was that reception like? And he said it was nothing like the reception he got yesterday at our airport. And boy, that was long overdue.
You know, I came home yesterday to my family and I was just flying high. The adrenaline was pumping. I wanted to tell them 100 stories from all these veterans I had met. But before I did anything, I sat my kids down and I said, this is important. You know, my dad was a veteran, and so I understand military service. That's why I was born in San Diego. But I told my kids, for the rest of your lives, please, when you see a veteran, go up, shake their hand, and thank them, because they don't hear thank you enough. And so many times as people who didn't serve, you think, well, I don't want to bother them. I don't know if it's appropriate. It is appropriate. Go up to a veteran and say, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us the freedom in this country. It's so important.
You can help heal a lifetime of wounds that some of these veterans have carried from their battles, from their return home, from what they've gone through. And it's a great way to show them appreciation, this honor flight, and gathering them to welcome home.
Absolutely. And tomorrow morning, Scott and I are going to be on the CW6 at 8:30. We're going to show this story again, and then we're going to do about a 5-minute talk with the anchors. So we're really excited to kind of give you more behind-the-scenes stories. It was very serious. It was very heartfelt, but we also had a lot of fun on this trip, and we've got some silly pictures to show you. There were a lot of smiles, and man, I met some lifetime friends for sure on this trip. As you can see, I am still flying high. I am so pumped up. You know, they told me it would be life-changing, and it certainly was.
Well, I can't think of a better team to represent our station and to cover this event. Jeff and Scott, thank you both so much.